Hi, and welcome to another Octagon tank video. Um, this video is for the big unveiling of version 4 of the actual valve. So here we have version 3, and if we go back and look at what we have from before, this is version 1 with the little ball and the basket that tries to push the ball down. Then we had version 2 with the bigger ball. Basically, again, the basket, little poles never survived. And obviously we have version 3, which was kind of working. I guess there's, all these little pieces fell apart. But obviously, even since printing, just from manipulating it, it's all starting to fall apart. And if we look around here, now we're going to turn around and the big unveiling, drum roll please, version 4. So basically what happens is assembly is kind of important. Some of these earlier ones, these two guys over here, were all trying to do the mechanism print in place. Broke the legs actually just pulling off the support. In this one here, the assembly was basically assembling this little guy, and then the arms are actually independent, which obviously caused some problems. It snaps in, but it's kind of a little bit floppy. And then consequently the legs broke. But if you look at the size of these legs here and you compare them to this, we're really looking at a monster. The main idea is to make sure that if I drop this thing by accident on the ground, you don't want it smashing into a million pieces, which is what's going on over here. You can see that even this little piece here is actually gonna fall off pretty soon. So eventually I want to throw these earlier versions out, so therefore the video, quite a bit of enhancements in here. So just to go through some of them, we'll basically put this thing together. So obviously the ball pops in, and the idea is we want the ball to be pressed by default against the bottom of its cage. And the reason for that is when the tank is basically sitting idle, you want it to be closed. Then we want to put in, I call this the basket, I guess, that actually fishes it down. And before, in the previous version, when you would push up, the springs would actually pop up the side and go pting. So now that's fully enclosed. And because I'm actually printing horizontally this way, this has to be really beefy so that it doesn't break. Hopefully this is beefy enough so that it doesn't break. But definitely the springs won't be coming out sideways. There's no purpose in actually seeing the springs anyways. And then basically the overall everything is kind of held together with this. Now this is a pretty rinky-dink thing, and hopefully I'm not going to live to regret. But by having it thin, it actually stretches out, and then I can actually push this down and it just snaps in on both sides. So this is kind of cool in that it's actually putting pressure on the ball. And what I can do now is, if I sit over here and I try to get the view in the ball, I'm going to zoom right in here and you can see the ball. And if I'm going to put my screwdriver through the top here, and as I'm pushing the ball, you can see the ball coming down and everything springing back up with a fair amount of resistance. Now, I've done some tests with these two guys over here, and obviously this button here, as per previous videos, too short. This one here is actually a good length. And ideally what we want is the spring mechanism to have enough strength to pop this out. Now I've done some water testing with the seals. This is 0.1 millimeter difference between the two, and it makes all the difference in the world. And actually you would think with a tighter tolerance it seals better, but the washer clumps, so having it thinner seems like a good idea. So I'm going to try a few tests, same diameter, but same tube diameter, but the overall diameter I'm going to try to shrink it so that it stretches, but those are some further tests. But basically, if we look back, I'm going to push this in and we're going to zoom in on the ball once again. Hopefully we'll hear it click. But we can see here, there's friction to get that in there. It feels like it's gone down, you know, as much as it can. But basically, ideally, we'd want enough of it, you know, to be able to push the stock or the actual pin back out. But there's too much friction. And one of the reasons that that's important is that the actual gearing mechanism needs to do all the work. So that being said, you know, quick preview of probably the next video. We've got the latest generation of the gears. I think I showed the gearbox working in a previous video. Right now I'm printing the individual little gears. The ones that are in here are still prototype ones that are not the final product. But you know, if we look at it, this is going to seat in here and then push in. So that's basically new, and the previous one broke. If you recall, there was another one that was even finer than that. So basically this one here is beefier, and again the design is fully symmetrical. I've explained that in the previous video, but it's symmetrical this way or that way because we have to flip the button around. But that becomes important because in the next video I'm not going to necessarily focus on the mechanism. Hopefully it's going to work. You know, pushing the insert tube, you know, up and down so that it can release the mechanism. But overall, you know, we've got to create a sandwich so that the whole thing is constrained. And the last part I want to focus, this video is all about this piece over here, and I want to focus actually on the quick releases that I put in. So effectively, you know, the idea with Octagon is we're going to try to settle Mars. You know, we want to go somewhere. We don't want to have to rely on mechanisms or tools. So the idea is this is a mechanism that I invented, quote unquote, on the glove. And effectively, the idea is it opens up to release basically the tank that's going to fit in on this side. And then basically the top part of the quick release, they're both going to be held together using this little clip. And this clip basically uses this, I'm going to call it a C-clamp for lack of a better term, to basically hold everything in together. So how is this assembled? We're going to basically take the valve out because it's not required, or it's going to get in the way. So keep those two pieces over there, and we're going to come back to this guy over here. And what we want to be able to do now is we're going to slide this guy all the way through. It'll make sense after it comes in. It fell all the way through. But effectively, what we can do here is push this guy through this way. I'm going to give it a full 180 so that sticks out. And then what we have over here is a little slot mechanism. Try to get it with my laptop in the background so that it can actually lock in. So I slide this in this way. Once again, this is a bit hard to show. Okay, so I'm going to manage to get my two hands going. Okay, so this guy here has got to stick out, and I'm going to be inserting that down there so that it connects in. And if we look at it just by giving it 22.5 degree turn, I'm actually in. Okay, and then I want to click it downwards. So what happens is that when I do this, it's free, and as soon as I give it a 22 degree turn, now it isn't. Okay, so you can see now, if I look at the tolerance, it's actually clipping 4 and 4 millimeters. So the total length, the dowels are, the cylinders are 4 millimeters in diameter, and basically they're grabbing another 4 millimeters. So now this overall will turn around and grip in from the inside. Okay, both on the top and the bottom. I'll show it this side here. So again, down on this side here where I got the grooves, that's going to be the washers for the main tank, and the top part here is going to be a sleeve for the mechanism. So once again, if I compare it to this guy over here, I've now taken this sleeve where the button is going to be, and it's going to be a separate part. So that's going to be the one part, and this thing here is going to hold it all in one sandwich. So once again, you come in this way, it'll slide over. Okay, and then after, when I turn that in, it's going to grab on. Okay, so then I got another one on this side, and I need still to print the other two on this side so that we have the overall sandwich. So the next video will be dedicated to the sandwich. In the meantime, I got to print some additional parts.